Hello friend, this is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com, and today I want to talk to you about using the law of attraction for good. You know, many people, even if they read my book, God's Secret Law of Attraction, which goes into detail about the law of attraction, how to use it as a Christian to get the best out of life. But even many people who have read that and just in general don't seem to think about this idea of using the law of attraction for good in the world. Not just, of course, getting yourself the things that you want in life, living the blessed and abundant life that God desires for you. But what about doing beyond that? Doing more than that? Actually expanding and using your blessed gift in the Lord for good. You know, it's easy to get absorbed in your own little world and only concerned about yourself, but that's not a way to live. That's certainly not a Christian way to live. And obviously, I want to state this from the beginning that you can't change other people's own will for their own lives and the negativity they surround themselves with and bring into their own lives, the destruction, the failure, the misery, and all that stuff. There's a lot of that you have no control over because that's them choosing of their own free will this disaster of a life and choosing to ingrain into their hearts the negativity of the world and choosing to operate that negative vibration. But you still have a lot more power than you may think you do in these other people's lives. Now, we're not talking about controlling people. We're not talking about manipulating them or anything like that. We're talking about helping them and blessing them, doing good in their lives. And this becomes a very touchy subject because sometimes you can do good and actually hurt somebody. You can actually cause them more harm. You know, the common example is that people talk about, well, I don't want to give that homeless person money because they're going to use it for drugs and alcohol. Well, first thing, you don't know that's the case. Maybe you do, but sometimes you're just presuming the worst. But also, you don't have to give them money just outright if you think that they're going to do something illicit with it. If you think they're going to do something that's going to harm themselves or somebody else. If they're claiming they want food, you could bring them food. And so in our good, we need to make sure we're doing it wisely. As Jesus said, be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So if you think that your goodwill, the good that you're going to enact in somebody's life is going to be used in a negative way, in a way that harms them or somebody else, then find another way of getting that good to them without them being able to use it for evil. But also make sure that you're not just going through presuming the worst about everybody. Presuming the least, presuming they're going to fail, presuming they're going to do this bad thing and that bad thing. Unless they've been proven to have a pattern of that, you shouldn't be that negative in the first place. But what if you started believing for the best for people? What if you started enacting the law of attraction for good in other people's lives? And as I mentioned, people have huge control over their lives, getting the results they're getting, but you can inject some goodness into their lives. You can, by the law of attraction, bring more goodness for some of these people. There may be somebody you know who's going through a struggle, and maybe they're not really changing and raising their vibration. They're not following Philippians 4:8. They're not thinking about the good things that are lovely and of good report. But you could still bring some good into their lives. You have faith. Maybe they don't, or maybe they're very weak in their faith. But you have the faith to bring about some good in their lives. And as I said, we're not talking about changing people, making them, manipulating them into doing something you want them to do. Not about anything like that at all. That's all evil works. I'm talking about good, things that will help them, things that will bless them, things that are in their best interest, things that they may want themselves but don't have the faith, the confidence, or the stability and diligence to do anything about it. And so they're not going to get it in the position they're in right now. And of course, you don't want to do something that's going to hurt somebody, as the example I gave of the homeless person. If you think they're going to go buy drugs or alcohol, but they're claiming they want food, money for food, then just give them the food. You can be wise and simply do the good thing, do the right thing in a way that will not harm somebody else. But you should be thinking more about this, more creative ways, creative things you can do. You know, there was a school, a Christian school that I knew of, that there were these apartments that the government owned, the city owned, I think it was, and they needed some work, but they were worth millions of dollars, but they needed some work. And they literally sold it to the school, if they were willing to fix it up, for $10. And they were able to build these big dorms for this Christian school and have millions of dollars worth of assets and be able to house people on campus for $10. Of course, they had to invest some money in remodeling the place, but that would have been done anyway. There are opportunities like that out there where you can do good. Maybe you could take over a whole apartment complex, fix it up, and have apartments available for people who are in need. There are things that you can do through the law of attraction that will increase your net worth, like having an apartment complex certainly would. It'll give you something to trade off of, having this asset of value, and you can bless other people. I know somebody who has an RV, a recreational vehicle, a trailer of sorts, and they have it in this place in a park. They have to pay a certain amount a month of rent for the land, not for the RV they own, just for the land. And this, this is one of those places, RV parks, where people come and go. They may be traveling, they're going to go to Florida, then go to Texas, and they stop at these RV parks, and maybe they stay there for a month or so, or a few weeks. They either pay by the day or pay by the month. And they're just renting the land, renting the space to put their RV on. Meanwhile, this RV park has almost doubled their rent from like 390 something to 700 or 800 almost now, just for the right to park an RV in this little tiny strip of land. That's not using the law of attraction for good. Obviously, if you're undervaluing your property and you're not getting the most value out of it, it's understandable maybe you'd need to raise the rent, especially if there's extra expenses coming in. That's understandable. But almost doubling it, just because you can get away with something doesn't mean it's right. Just because it might be legal doesn't mean it's right. You need to make sure that whatever you're doing and using the law of attraction for, that you're doing it for good. And yes, it can better you as well. It can improve you as well. It can make you more financially blessed. But you don't want to take advantage of people. You don't want to manipulate people. You don't want to harm people. You don't want your good to be harming other people. You don't want your good to come from taking advantage of other people. So you need to be very cognizant of that, when you're enacting good in the world and you're using the law of attraction for good, it's actually good for other people and not just only good for you or only good for your family. Sometimes people lie to themselves like that. Well, it's good for other people besides me. Just because it's good for your family and maybe not only you, that's just an extension of you. Your family is just an extension of you. So if you're doing something that helps only you and your family, you're still only helping yourself. Don't pat yourself on the back because you just helped other people that just happen to only be your family. There's a lot of good that can be done in the world, and Christians should be doing that each and every day. Sometimes they get confused thinking they can just throw money at things, but what about if you throw some faith at things? What about if you start believing for good things in your community? I don't know what that might be, but there might be something in your local area you know that you can believe for that would help somebody else out. And maybe, as with the law of attraction requiring, take some action on. So there's something you see a need. What can you do today that would help alleviate that? Help bring good into that person's life, into those people's lives, whatever it may be. This is going to be something that's very dependent on where you are and what's going on around you. It's not going to be the same in every area. But you can do good. You don't have to have the law of attraction be this self-absorbed selfishness, which is not what it's intended to. Now, the law of attraction is just simply one of the laws that God has created in the universe, one of his universal laws that works. It works against you, it works for you, depending on how you enact it. If you're just blindly going through life, it's probably some combination of both. Sometimes you're getting some good from it, sometimes you're getting some bad. But once you've mastered and you get the law of attraction working in your favor each and every day, you can start expanding and getting some good results for other people. you can start bringing some good into their lives and be a blessing for them. And my friend, this is the utmost, highest level of attainment in the law of attraction, is not just consuming for yourself, not just getting results for yourself, but actually getting results for other people, bringing about good in their lives, and seeing God be glorified as a result. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.